Leah Winters sat alone in her small apartment, staring at the city lights beyond the window. The weight of her life pressed down on her like a heavy blanket. She was exhausted. Exhausted from the endless cycle of work, the loneliness that gnawed at her heart, and the emptiness that no amount of success could fill. She had always believed that if she worked hard enough, she would find happiness. But here she was, with a successful career and a comfortable life, feeling more lost and broken than ever. Her thoughts raced, jumping from one worry to the next, until they settled on one undeniable truth. She couldn't keep living this way. The facade of having it all together was crumbling, and the loneliness she felt was unbearable. She had tried everything: therapy, self-help books, even traveling to faraway places in search of peace. But nothing seemed to work. Leah felt like she was sinking, and she didn't know how much longer she could hold on. One night, as the tears streamed down her face, Leah did something she hadn't done in years. She knelt beside her bed and cried out to God. She didn't know what else to do, so she prayed with all her heart. "God, I can't do this anymore. I don't know where to go or what to do. Please, if you're there, help me, show me the way. I'm lost and broken and I need you." In the silence that followed, Leah felt a peace she hadn't known in a long time. It was as if a gentle hand had been placed on her shoulder, and in that moment, she knew she wasn't alone. She wasn't sure what would happen next, but for the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of hope. The next morning, Leah woke up with a sense of clarity. She didn't have all the answers, but she knew she needed to make some changes. She decided to take a leave of absence from her job and spend some time in a small town she had visited years ago, a place where the pace of life was slower and people seemed to truly care for one another. When she arrived in the town, she was greeted by the sight of rolling hills, lush green fields, and a peaceful river that wound its way through the valley. It was a world away from the bustling city she had left behind. For the first time in years, Leah felt like she could breathe. As she settled into her temporary home, Leah began to see how God was making a way for her. She met kind, compassionate people who welcomed her with open arms. She found a small church where she felt at home, and she began to reconnect with her faith in a way that she hadn't experienced since she was a child. Leah spent her days walking along the river, sitting quietly in the church and talking to God. She poured out her heart to Him, sharing her fears, her doubts, and her hopes. And in return, she felt His presence guiding her, comforting her, and leading her toward healing. As the weeks passed, Leah's heart began to heal. She realized that she didn't need to chase after success or fill her life with distractions to find happiness. Instead, she found joy in the simple things, in the beauty of nature, in the warmth of friendship, and in the peace that came from trusting God. One day, as she sat by the river, Leah felt a deep sense of gratitude wash over her. She knew that God had made a way for her when she couldn't see a way out. He had led her to this place of peace, and He had given her a new perspective on life. She realized that she didn't need to return to her old life in the city. She could stay here, in this small town, and build a new life, one filled with faith, love, and true contentment. And so, Leah decided to stay. She found work in the town, made lifelong friends, and continued to grow in her faith. She knew that life would still have its challenges, but she also knew that God was with her, guiding her every step of the way. From that time forward, Leah lived happily, knowing that when she had called out to God, He had answered. He had made a way for her when she couldn't see a way, and He had given her a new life, one filled with the peace and joy she had been searching for all along.